This is my zipper hack when you don't have matching zips for your fabric, or you just want to hide the zip for aesthetic reasons. So what you need is your zipper facing. My zipper hole as such, or my zip, is 6 inches on this occasion. So I've done 7 inch along and 1.5 inches deep. And then what you do is you draw a box 1/2 inch up, and you do it 6 inches long, so you're leaving 1/2 inch either end. Do the same on the other side, and then cut out the rectangle. You're basically cutting a rectangle that's 6 inch by 1/2 inch. So you've got your zipper facing. I've got my zip, which I'm using off a continuous zip because I like to add my own zippers. I've cut the V, but I always cut the one side slightly lower than the other side, and I'll show you why. I'm just going to run a flame across the edge of the zipper to give it a firmness and stop it fraying. And then we've got my zip pull, and you just slide it on the higher side first. And then once you've got it down, you come to the shorter side and you add that onto, you hook the teeth onto the inside of that. I need to lay it down because it's easier for me to do laying down. Oh, it's come out. So and there you have it. Now, had I done the V higher up, once you hook it on, you'd have ended up with a wonky zip with it being out of line, whereas this one is in line. So it's as easy as that to put a zip on. You don't need that fork method. I've never worked that out because my forks are wider than average, I think, so they never seem to work very well. I can straighten that off now and seal the ends. I just want to seal the ends of this one as well to stop that fraying. So we've got the zip ready, and as you can see on my fabric, it's a bit bright for the fabric I've got. So we come to our hiding technique. I've got 2 strips of fabric here that match the outer, the lining fabric. You can use any fabric you like. If you want to use a contrasting fabric, that's fine, whatever you choose to do. And it only needs to be 1 inch wide, or deep, as you might say. I've done 1.5 inches because that's the fabric. I had the strips cut, so I mean they are 1.5 inches wide. Just gives you a bit more room to play with, and it doesn't matter how long they are, so long as they're as long as the zip, not the zipper facing. So in this case, these are 10 inches long. They don't need to be. 8 inches is the minimum they should be when you've got the 6 inch zipper facing, or 7 inch, sorry, zipper facing. But so you want it to be at least 8. But as I say, these were cut, so I just did them. I've lined them with interfacing, just gives them a bit of a crisper edge. And basically what we will be doing is giving you the end result that looks something like, trying to get this all in and have the zipper hanging out so that you can see. Very fiddly. That looks something like that in a roundabout way. So anyway, you'll see. So as I say, the first thing you need to do is cut the box out. And literally you just, I've got 1/2 inch up from the edge, 1/2 inch in, draw the line, stop 1/2 inch at the end, turn over, do the same thing, then box the edges off and cut them out. So that's the first thing you do. And then you've got your lining piece, and patterns do vary. Some patterns tell you to do the zipper 2 inches down, 1.5 inches down, and so on. So for this purpose, I'm going to do 1 inch down. Sorry, 1.5 inches down, I beg your pardon. I believe the pattern I'm doing actually asks you to do that. I'm not sure. I just want to check because this is part of a pattern I'm doing. So I don't want to be getting it wrong. No, it doesn't say, so I can do it how I like. So I want to put double-sided tape on the zipper facing to stick it to the lining. So you put it on the outside edges, the long edges. Just went over the edge there a bit. And then take the tape off that's covering the sticky. Eventually. And then you want to get it central, so I've got an 11 inch width on my piece of fabric. The zip's 7 inches, so clearly it needs to be 2 inches either side. So that's nicely stuck down, and it's 2 inches either side, because when we fold over, this is going to how it's going to look. So, you know, I'm going to change my mind, and I'm going to put it an inch away because it looks a bit low to me because of the height of the lining as such, the depth of the bag or whatever. So that's the beauty of double-sided tape, you can reposition, which I've done. So I'm doing that an inch down because even folded over on the seam, it's still going to be like that. So that's what I'm doing for this one. So now what I need to do is stitch all the way around the outer edge. So there we have it stitched all the way around the outside. And now what we need to do is cut the fabric from the middle. So just trim, leaving about 1/4 inch seam allowance around the edge. You don't want to cut too close, because if you cut really close, there's a danger that the fabric could fray a little and then pull out of the stitching. So if you leave, you know, about 1/4 to 1/8 of an inch allowance, then that will stop that from happening. It's not going to be seen when the zip's finished, so it won't matter. Just trim that up a bit more. There we have it. So that's where we've cut the fabric from, and now we want to attach the zip. So get our trusty double-sided tape again. I'm sorry, I've just realised that's out of shot. I was only adding the tape though, so you haven't missed anything. It's because I'd zoomed in a little bit, so I forgot about that. Okay, so the double-sided tape is on, and now we need to get our strips of fabric. And what I like to do is use my cutting board to line up so that there's a line going along the middle, to use that as a guide. And so I lay the strip down as straight as possible. You really don't want it to be wonky. And then I'm going to use the other strip to meet in the middle. And then if you turn round, you can see that it's nice and neat. And then now we need the double-sided tape again, and I'm going along the middle of the strip. I'll show you in a second when I've done it, before I take the tape off. For some reason this fabric does not want to stay flat. It's quite frustrating. Right. So rather than the edge, which you mustn't do that, put the tape at like halfway up, or halfway in, should I say. Because if you do it along the edge, it won't work. Don't do it along the edge. Because you're not stitching there. So take the tape backing off. And then you want to line the zip up and make sure the pull's going to be the right way. And I think it's going to be best to do it this way. Just poke open the hole a little bit so you can see what you're doing. You need 3 hands for this, really, because everything's sticking to each other. So you want to do it so that the edge of one piece of tape, fabric, is going along the centre of the zip, the teeth. So that's what I'm doing to line it up. And move the zipper pulled in so that you've got it inside the right place, because you don't want to stitch it wrong. And just tidy everything up along the back. To make sure everything's caught in place. So, if I turn over, yeah, I've got it all in place. So that's how it's going to look when it's completed. So now what we need to do, before we do anything else, is add the zipper pocket onto the back. I just need to take a drink of water because I'm very dry. Okay, so make sure you've got the pocket the right way up, and it's 22 centimetres across and 24 centimetres long. And just put, I don't know what we do with that double-sided tape. I don't know what I'd do. I very rarely use pins nowadays. So a bit more double-sided tape. Eventually it will come off. This is one I could do with my granddaughter because she's got tiny nails and she can pull this straight off. Right, now turn the zipper pocket facing down and lay it along the edge, making sure you've got it lined up centrally as you can. And we just want to stitch along this part now. That's the only part we're going to stitch first. And then once you stitch the bottom, turn it over, bring the fabric down, double-sided tape again. And then bring the fabric up and stick along. And now we stitch up there, along and down. So I finished stitching all the way around, and that's how we do the concealed zip. And it works perfectly fine, but you can't see the bright red anymore. And there you go. All we have to do now is stitch either side of the pocket, and the pocket is finished. So I hope you like that little tutorial on my zip.